What's up, YouTube? Sergio Becerra II here again, my YouTube channel, Frankensteina, and today I'm bringing you guys a brand new exciting video. This time I'm going to be doing something educational, and as you all know, why my channel is called Frankensteina is because I'm a huge Frankenstein fan. And so we're going to be doing something educational, history. I'm going to be doing a history video, and like I said, my channel is called Frankensteina, and of course we're going to be talking about Frankenstein. Now, when you hear the name Frankenstein, you think of the 6'6" tall man-made creature with stitched up limbs and a green face made by a mad scientist. What people probably don't know, there is an origin to this, in that there was an actual Frankenstein family in real life that lived in Germany in the mid 13th century. Even though some say that the family originated back all the way to the mid 10th century, at least to the year 948 AD, and that its castle was erected around that time. No, the actual castle itself was built before the year 1252 near the town of Darmstadt and Ruhltal. Well, actually, Darmstadt is actually the the actual location where the real-life castle was built. In fact, the founder of the castle and its name was created by a German noble by the name of Konrad II von Bruberg. And I have right here is a book that I'm still currently reading. It's called In Search of Frankenstein by Radu Florescu. Now, he goes down bit by bit, going all the way back to the origins of the real-life family up until Mary Shelley when she wrote her famous 19th century horror novel. So, I know this is an old book that I bought. I'm trying to remember, was it Amazon that I bought it from? I forgot how much I paid for this, but not that bad, to be exact. In fact, I've been wanting to get my hands on this book for a long time. It looks like this book was written and published like in the 70s or so, but there is an origin to everything. So let me explain the name Frankenstein exactly. Now, in Mary Shelley's novel, the story takes place in Geneva, Switzerland, where Mary Shelley herself and her husband Percy, her older stepsister Claire, and of course Lord Byron and his doctor were staying in a well-known villa at the time when she started writing. But the real family came from Germany, to be exact. So the founder of the castle was founded by a German noble by the name of Lord Konrad II von Bruberg of the House of Bruberg. So construction for the castle started before the year 1252. So after that, he gave himself the title of Konrad I von Frankenstein. So now the House of Frankenstein was born in its actual castle. And I have right here pictures from my phone that I have right here. This is a picture of the castle going back to the year 1620 in its full form. If you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. This is the actual real-life Frankenstein castle. Or in German, it's pronounced Burg Frankenstein. B-U-R-G, Burg Frankenstein. And here's the thing about the name Frankenstein. Frankenstein derives from the German meaning stone of the Franks, and it's located in the region of Franconia. Now, this, of course, they were noble barons, noble lords, and there was also knights. And of course, this was around during the time of the Holy Roman Empire. So Konrad I von Frankenstein, or Konrad II von Bruberg, which is his real name, donned that title. So even though some suggested that in the year 948, a knight by the name of Otto Gustav von Frankenstein was the very first member of the family. They had the castle erected, and he was a powerful, mighty knight and a well-known jouster. I'm not sure if he actually did exist, but it is recorded in a medieval jousting tournament book. I think that's in German. That he did exist, but I highly doubt that. Maybe, possibly, but I don't know. So here's another picture right here. This is the Frankenstein family coat of arms, if you can see on my phone. So it depicts a hatchet on its shield right here. So so here's some more pictures of the castle when it fell to ruin later on after the real life family moved out of the castle. I have one picture right here. This is one uh, pencil sketched portrait of the castle, still in full form, in the year 1755, when the castle was completely abandoned. See clearly, this is it right here. This is the tower right here that you see is the main entrance tower to the castle. And here's another photo. Let me pull it up if I can get it. Let me see, where is it? Oh, you know what? Oh, here we go. They had a chapel of their own on the castle grounds. The chapel itself was built sometime in the 15th century. What, as if I recall correctly, that the castle was going through an expansion, expanding its grounds at the very most. Now, there are pictures of there are several pictures of the castle in full ruin, which I have right here. Probably around. Let me see. I don't know. I don't know what when exactly this picture was done, but this is the castle in full ruin because it fell sometime in the 19th century. Castle completely gone. There's some more photos. Here's one picture of a castle. Well, it's like a double screenshot. This dates back to the year 1913, probably around when the First World War was going on at the time. So here's some more right here. Here's one right here. Another 19th century portrait of the castle right here. If you can see clearly, it shows the castle in the background of full ruins. And there's like men with looks like an ox or whatever, hauling stuff. Here's one. Uh, okay, here's one with the. Here's one right here. With, if you can see clearly, I don't know if you can. Here we go. This is like the main building of the castle. Its roofs are missing. The castle completely hollow. I think there was no. I think the reconstruction of the rooftops were done for some time later on. So here's another good one of the front entrance tower, the main entrance tower to the castle. As you can see, there's like nothing. So I'll introduce some more members of the family in a moment. Um, Another thing about it, like I said, originated in Germany, part of the Holy Roman Empire, uh, dating back to the mid 13th century. Other backgrounds was that I'm pretty sure you've seen in some of my other videos. I'm still currently doing Bible study videos. That I'm a Catholic, I'm a traditionalist, and of course the Frankenstein family was, of course, Roman Catholic. And there's a lot more to go about that. Their family motto was "My loyalty goes to God." That's their family motto. I don't know. I can't speak German, so I know there's a German inscription that says "My loyalty goes to God" in German. So they were actually a devout Roman Catholics. And one thing I'll talk about later on is that three members of the family that I have researched on, that they became prince bishops within the church itself. But that's like later on in the so at least three of them, three family members of the three family members became clergymen within the church itself. But this dates between the 16th and 18th centuries, as far as I know, which I will explain in a minute. Now we're going to talk about one familiar, well, not familiar, but we're going to talk about some members of the family. Starting off with, here's one. Now the family itself has a burial site in the small town of Niederbierbach, and there's a small church which is the home burial site of the Frankenstein family. Here's one picture right outside. That's outside the church itself. This is the tomb of a female member of the family. Goes by the name of Anna von Frankenstein, who is said to have died in the year 1360. There's not much information about her, to be exact. Now we're gonna move on. Okay, hang on. Let me see. Hang on. Here we go. Now, this is going to be, I hope you find this exciting. There's one Frankenstein knight dating back to the mid 15th century who went by the name of Baron Frank von Frankenstein. And here's the picture of his tomb right here. There's a couple other pictures I'll show you in a minute. This is his tomb. Now, let me read you his background, which I have written. The crypt of Baron Frank von Frankenstein, a member of the Teutonic Knight Order in mid-1400s. He was a member of the Order of Teutonic Knights, if you're familiar with them. He lost his life to Prince Vlad Dracula Tepish III, aka Vlad the Impaler. This is true. Who was a member of the Order of the Dragon. This became the true story of Frankenstein versus Dracula. He is buried in Sibiu, Romania. So this Frankenstein knight is buried in Romania. And all I know, he got into a conflict with Vlad the Impaler, who was a member of another order, the Order of the Dragon. So this is his tomb, but here's another picture of him, what he really looked like. This is him. What he actually looked like. So yes, this is an actual portrait of a Frankenstein, a real-life Frankenstein, dating back to the 15th century. Now there is another knight in particular. If you're familiar of the story of Saint George and the dragon, which Saint George is said to have slain a dragon in medieval times, there is one Frankenstein knight whose story sounds similar, but it's mostly a myth, which hardly any evidence exactly. This is his crypt. Hang on. This is Sir George von Frankenstein. This is his crypt, and his crypt is inside the church of Niederbierbach. As you can see on the very bottom, there's a dragon on the floor, in which its tail is impaling his leg. It is said that, well, almost similarly to Saint George himself, he's engaged in trying to kill a dragon, which is said to be roaming around near a river, and it's terrorizing people in particular. So by a mythical tale. This is just a mythical tale, but what has been said is that not only does he slay the dragon, but before the dragon even dies, his poisonous tail impales right through George Frankenstein's leg, which does in fact kill him because he's rushed back to the castle, knowing there's nothing they can do, and he later dies. He is, of course, the son of Philip von Frankenstein, uh, who was also a baron and knight to the castle. And over here, here. Now, here we go. Here's these are sculptures from inside the Frankenstein chapel. The one holding his sword is Hans von Frankenstein. This is George Frankenstein's younger brother, and next to him is his wife. Let me read it. The sculpture of the knight Hans von Frankenstein and his wife, middle brother of Sir George von Frankenstein, inside the family chapel at the castle. Now, George Frankenstein had two younger brothers, Hans, which I just showed you, and Ludwig Frankenstein. I forget which one of the brothers is said to have tried to sacrifice George's own mistress or wife to the dragon. Like I said, this is all a mythical tale. We don't know for sure. It's just a mythical legend that's been said in Germany. Now, let's go even further in time. Now I'm gonna show you some of the members of the family that did serve in the church as prince bishops. Here's one, which I'm going to show you right now. This is the statue of Johannes von Frankenstein, who was the Prince Bishop of Worms in Germany. Now he was born in the castle, but in the sometime in the 17th century. But there's not that much about him, except the fact that his appointment as the Prince Bishop was approved by Pope Innocent XI. Let me see. There's another picture of him right here. Same statue, but facing in a different position. Now there's one more Frankenstein Prince Bishop. This is the. I'm sorry about this. Right here, this is Johann Philipp Anton von Frankenstein, who was the Prince Bishop of Bamberg. I'm sorry if the window glare is in the way. This is him right here. Now, there is some information about him. It is said he became the Prince Bishop of Bamberg by Pope Benedict XIV. And it looks like, from what I've read, it looks like he got support from the Empress Marie Theresa, which is the mother of Marie Antoinette. It looks like he got some support from her. And it said he did study canon and civil law in Rome prior to being made Prince Bishop. Now, there's one more Prince Bishop of the family, but he lived sometime in the 16th century. His name was Rudolf von Frankenstein. But this was, like I said, in the 16th century. There's no picture of him, but he was, in fact, made Prince Bishop of Speyer by Pope Julius III. So now speaking of the Prince Bishops in the 16th century, when the Protestant Reformation started by Martin Luther, the German prince of the time, the Landgrave of Hesse, wanted the Frankensteins to renounce the Pope and renounce their ways of Catholicism and become Protestants themselves, become part of the Lutheran movement. But the Frankensteins did not. So what did the Landgrave do? The Landgrave of Hesse do? Well, apparently, since he was not a clergyman himself, he decides to put an anathema on the Frankenstein family. An anathema by a German prince on the Frankenstein family. And what happened? Well, apparently 3 Frankenstein knights end up dead. One of them I just showed you, George Frankenstein. He was one of them. I forget who else exactly. I'm still reading. I'm still reading the book right now. I haven't finished it, but I haven't really finished it exactly. Well, I have done research, online research to be exact. So, but still, the Frankensteins still remain loyal to the Catholic faith. That's why their motto is "My loyalty goes to God," which is which is what the which is what their motto was. Now, the Frankenstein family moved out of the castle in 1662. So the castle was not fully up for sale, and whoever wanted the castle was up for grabs, but hardly anybody bought it. I forget where they moved to. I think they moved to some lands they had of their own up north of the country. So it was left empty for a long time until the German military decided to turn the castle into a military hospital. And from what I understand that the Catholic army of King Louis XIV of France is said to have marched down into German territory. Now, this is where things turned a little different. This is where there's a strong connection between the castle and Mary Shelley, because there's one figure in connection, somehow closely related to the novel, that kind of proves that Mary Shelley based her novel on someone that I'm going to show right now, and of course used the name of the castle and the family itself as the main title of her book. And here he is. He goes by the name of Johann Konrad Dippel, but he's not a Catholic. He's actually a Lutheran, to be exact. He was a Lutheran theologian and a Lutheran priest, but in connection to Victor Frankenstein, he was also a medical doctor and an alchemist, because Victor Frankenstein in the book was interested in alchemy, which his father says it's sad trash, and his professors are telling him when he goes to medical school, you're wasting on time of such people who lived such a long time ago, believing in these myths that you can turn lead into gold. Now, the thing about Dippel, even though he was not a real member of the family, he was born in the castle while the castle was being occupied as a military hospital. His father was a Lutheran priest as well. In fact, what I've researched on that, Dippel is the 5th generation in his family to become a Lutheran priest, and it kind of goes all the way back to the beginning with the Reformation. So his mother gives birth to him inside the castle. So even though not a real life member of the family, as I explained, he feels like he is like connected in some way. Like he feels like he's a real Frankenstein. So later in life, he kind of like extends his own name to von Frankenstein. So he's known as Johann Konrad Dippel von Frankenstein, but he does give himself the title of Lord. But he originally studied theology at the University of Gießen. He obtained his master's in theology. Now, it is said he's gotten himself into trouble with the authorities over money and other things that could have gotten him jail time. Now, the thing about Dippel is that most of his life is basically folklore or whatever mystery is about him exactly. But all we know, he traveled throughout most of Northern Europe and getting into trouble. He actually ended up doing jail time, I think, in Sweden for on charges of heresy. I forget what exactly had to do with the Swedish royal family. So he spent 7 years in a prison for whatever he said that was heretical. But well, we know one thing's for sure: there is proof that he did rob graves from near Bierbach, where the real Frankenstein family was buried, and it is said he did experiment his alchemical and human anatomy experiments at the castle, even though well, he tried to purchase the castle with a special oil that he made, which he thought was an elixir of life, which was actually a muscle stimulant called Dippel's oil. And he's also the creator of a different shade of blue known as Berlin blue. So it is said that it's rumored that he did experiment with cadavers in the castle, but we're not sure. We don't know for sure, but there is evidence that he did rob graves, but we don't know if he did. We don't know if he did it in the castle or properties near the castle, to be exact. So wherever the truth about him is, he's already gone down in history as both as a theologian and a scientist, and of course, who wanted to discover the ways of life. One folklore tale is that he, like all alchemists, they wanted to transfer the soul of one dead person into another. It's rumored that he tried to construct his own monster. We don't know that for sure, but as far as I know right now, that there is no doubt that Mary Shelley herself based Frankenstein directly on Dippel's life, because everything is like well connected with the grave robbing and the experiments that he did. And like I said, he was an alchemist. He had no interest in turning lead into gold or searching the philosopher's stone, which, like most European alchemists did throughout the Middle Ages. In fact, rumor has it that he tried to create an elixir of life by the use of dead bodies that would have allowed him to live to the age of 135, in which it killed him in his own properties or inside the castle. That was not true. Like I said, he was a theologian, and before his death, he lost faith because he'd been in disputes with other theologians. Some people that have supported him, some people that he made enemies with. So he lost all hope in Christ in general, because he referred to Christ as an indifferent being. That's why he lost his faith, because he's been in disputes with other theologians throughout the course of his lifetime. Another thing about Dippel. Yeah, as far as I know, he got into disputes with a lot of people. I mean, he had published several theological works, but they are still preserved in Germany and have not been remastered or republished or reprinted. His works are still kept preserved to this day. Not like I said, and have never been reprinted or remastered or whatever. I mean, I would love to read them, since this was someone in connection to Victor Frankenstein in general. So, in fact, this guy died near Wittgenstein Castle, and he died he died near Wittgenstein Castle while practicing medicine. Like I said, he was also a doctor. Apparently, the possibility it is said that he died of a stroke, even though it somehow, from what I've researched, may have to do with poisoning or whatever. But he was found dead. Because I originally believed he died while drinking this special made elixir from corpses, which he did, which is rumored. by folklore mythical tales, when in fact he did die of a stroke. Could either he just died of a stroke or his stroke had to do anything with poisoning. I do not know. All I know, he died near Wittgenstein Castle. But still, he is his name is still in close connection with Victor Frankenstein, because that's so far the only thing I can say at this point. I'm still reading this book. I haven't got a chance to sit down and read in a while, but I got go through more research as far as I know right now. So, as for Mary Shelley in particular, I kind of do believe while her and her husband and stepsister were traveling through Europe at the time, because in her journal she writes about seeing a ruined tower with its desolate windows, which of course at the time they were traveling through the Rhine River, and the thing is, both the Rhine River and the castle are 30 miles apart, so it may have looked like she may have gotten a good glimpse of the castle, and I do kind of believe she may have visited the castle at the time, and of course heard the stories of Johann Konrad Dippel. So there's no doubt in my mind about all of that. Of course, she had to learn the tale about Dippel's life somewhere, no doubt. And of course, what also inspired her were not just Dippel, but three other scientists that did experiment with electricity. The first one will be an Italian scientist by the name of Luigi Galvani, the founder of galvanism, which is electrical shock therapy, because it all started with experimenting with dead frogs, and then he had support and one admirer that would be his own nephew Giovanni Aldini, who took it to another level by experimenting with actual corpses, in which but in fact he was already doing stuff like this in the Italian town of Bologna before doing it at the College of Surgeons in London, in which witnesses were horrified by putting electric rods on the corpse of a condemned criminal, causing it to spring up and make other kind of gestures, making it look like it did come to life. In fact, one of the witnesses in the stands had a heart attack and died immediately. So it gives plausible impossibility that life can be restored. That's a possibility. And another scientist that also inspired Mary Shelley. In fact, this happened around the same time when the book was published. A Scottish scientist by the name of Andrew Ure, who took his experiments to a whole new level. He had witnesses of his own. Of course, he experimented with a corpse, also of another condemned criminal that was hung for murder. And just like Giovanni Aldini, this corpse almost looked like it almost came to life, particularly. But the problem was between the corpses that Aldini and Ure had used. They were hung, and the problem was the neck bones were broken, which was connected to the spine, which made it impossible for these cadavers to be reanimated to life. So if both their necks weren't broken, it would have made it possible that these human bodies could have been brought back to life, if it wasn't for the execution by hanging. Like I said, they were hung by the neck, which also caused damage to both the spine as well. So it made it impossible. So it really made it impossible for these bodies to come to life. And of course, it still leaves the possibility that life can be reanimated. Is what I've learned in research so far, because it does give plausible and possible grounds that life can be restored once again. So I've shown you everything about the history of Frankenstein, in particular, going back to the castle and its and it's erection, the erection of the castle, the life of the family, leaving the castle, then falling with Johann Konrad Dippel, and now with Mary Shelley. So there's still so that is much that I'm sorry for choking or stuttering. Sorry, I really talk for I really don't talk that much for a long period of time. So this is much information I have given you about the history of Frankenstein, going all the way back to the time of the erection of the castle, its family members, and then on to again with Johann Conrad Dippel, and then with Mary Shelley, and the experiments that have been told about the possibility of reanimation. So, tell me what you think in the comments below. I hope that you learned something from this. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell beside, comment below. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. My email is sergiobecerra26@yahoo.com. And once again, my channel is Frankensteiner. And why? I am a huge Frankenstein fan. And will always forever will be. So that wraps it up for now. I hope you learned something from all this. Take care now. Bye.